Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome to the single most exciting night of your entire life. We are so happy that you are here. This is the Super Bowl of Good Shepherd. I don't know how to sell it any better than that. Father Zach had tickets to sit behind home plate of a Yankees game in New York tonight, but he said, nope, that doesn't even hail in comparison to the Town Hall. I will go to the Town Hall. So thank you for joining us. We are so excited you're here. Before any introductions or anything, I want to invite our pastor, Father Michael, to open us up in prayer.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Amen.
I'll take a prayer from the writings of St. Francis. This is a prayer that dates back to 1221. With our whole heart, our whole soul, our whole mind, with our whole strength and fortitude, with our whole understanding, with all our powers, with every effort, every affection, every feeling, every desire and wish, let us all love the Lord God, who has given and gives to each one of us our whole body, our whole soul, and our whole life, who has created, redeemed, and will save us by his mercy alone. Therefore, let us desire nothing else. Let us want nothing else. Let nothing else please us and cause us delight except our Creator, Redeemer, and Savior, the only true God, who is the fullness of good, all good, every good, the true and supreme good. Therefore, let nothing hinder us, nothing separate us, nothing come between us. Heavenly Father, we ask you to be with us during our conversation this evening so that everything may begin and end in your most holy will. We ask this through Christ our Lord.
Amen. Well, again, thank you for joining us. My name is Johnny Philp. I'm Director of Pastoral Ministries here, and I'm thrilled that you've taken time out of your night to be with us. You know these three gentlemen up here, but in case this is your first time ever inside the church, we have Father John Mark, Father Michael Higgins, and Father Zach Burns. And Father Ronald insists on being fashionably late, so we'll see from him at some point. I believe he's here in confessions still. That's a good excuse. So we're excited you're here. This is the second Parish Town Hall that we've hosted. By show of hands, is this anybody's first town hall ever? Did you not come to the one in November? Great, so some first timers, welcome to the family. Just a little bit about kind of the conception behind Town Hall. We wanted to have an opportunity for us to gather as a community in a really authentic, transparent, unplanned way. And so tonight is really about a conversation. It's not a lecture. The goal is never that this is a one-sided conversation. So there's a microphone here, and I really want to encourage you, regardless of your experience as public speaking, I want to encourage you to contribute your voice to this conversation. We're very blessed to get to kind of start to gather a little bit more. Thanks be to God that COVID is continuing to decline slowly but surely. But tonight, just a little bit of structure of the evening. Kind of some of the topics that we have chosen to talk about is just kind of our organization as a staff. A little bit about our strategic plan as a parish, kind of diving into our mission, our vision, and our values as a parish community. Some updates on our facilities, some updates on our finances, and then, just some updates on continuing to navigate COVID procedures as we receive them. But again, anything else that you wish to bring to the table, the goal is that this is a conversation. So if at any point you have something you would like to respond to, or a question or whatever, I just ask you to come on up to the microphone, and we will happily hear what you have to say, and vice versa. If there's something, we might in turn ask you questions tonight. We'd like to know your thoughts. The last thing I'll say before we kind of jump into some of our topics is that we have a QR code here on our welcome slide tonight. What we are trying to do is, this is actually a QR code that if you take a picture of this with your phone, it will take you to a link inside of our planning center platform that we've been using here at Good Shepherd, and that will allow you to kind of sign up as you were here at this event. Couple reasons for that. One, we want to be able to kind of measure the success of these events, and we want to be able to look back in 20 years and say, like, look at all the people that came to that amazing town hall that one time. But additionally, we've taken the feedback that we received from the November town hall very seriously, and you'll actually hear from a couple of the points tonight on how we have addressed some of the recommendations from the community. And so we want to be able to follow up with you on a more consistent basis than just in 6 months at our next town hall. So one way to do that is if you submit your info kind of signing into this event, we'll be able to send you updates based on our conversation so you can kind of know where we're going with your recommendations. So please do that if you get a chance. It would help us out a lot. And we'll actually talk more tonight about Planning Center and kind of the way we've been using it as a parish staff and community. With that being said, I want to kind of move into our first topic, which is talking about our parish staff, some organization and some structure, and just taking this time to evaluate, making sure our staff is set up in a successful way. And kind of starting off on a good note, I want to ask Father Mike to tell us a little bit. We have some clergy changes that are going about, including some anniversaries and some new members to our clergy. So I want to ask Father Mike to share a little bit about what the next month or so will look like for our clergy.
Thank you. I think as Johnny had mentioned, part of what we would like to do is just have a discussion with you and to bring you up to date on what's happening in many different levels of the parish. We do have a bulletin that has been coming out fairly regularly during COVID. It was very difficult, so we weren't able to get that out as much as we would have liked to. We have the e-bulletin. If you're not signed up for that, please sign up for that, because that comes out every Wednesday, and that's a little bit more current. Anything that we put in the bulletin, we have to do weeks ahead of time. So even by the time that it's published, there are things going on that we really can't express in the bulletin. So if you have the e-bulletin, that would certainly help. And we are redoing the bulletin now to try to make it a little bit more both attractive and more current for you as well. I wanted to just bring up to date on a few things that's happening with the staff. First of all, you may or may not know that we currently have 5 deacons who are working with us here at the parish, and there will be some changes. Deacon Klaus, who's here, I believe. Deacon Klaus, why don't you stand so that people can see you? He is celebrating 40 years as a deacon at the end of the month. all for the Lord, that's right. And Deacon Pat, who has been with this community for many years, I don't know if he's here tonight, but he is going to be moving to Florida at the end of the month, so he will no longer be with us. We also welcome Deacon Larry Sandoval, who is the husband of Tammy Sandoval, who was over at Seas for a number of years, and he has joined our deacons fairly recently. We also have Deacon Rick Wright, who has just joined us this past year, and the other Deacon Rick G, who is in the back here somewhere. So we just want to thank them all for their ministry to the parish. Since Deacon Pat is moving to Florida and Deacon Larry is new, if you'd like to be in touch with them and just send them a card, to thank Pat for many years of service here at the parish, or to welcome Larry, please just send it to the parish and we'll make sure they get it. Deacon John Clark, I didn't mention him as well. Deacon John Clark is going to be, he said, retiring from his full-time position in December, and he's going to be able to work a little bit more closely with the parish. He's also, believe it or not, starting a PhD program in psychology. So he's keeping very busy. So we certainly want to thank him as well. Father Ron is now celebrating the sacrament of reconciliation. He'll be joining us in a little bit. He'll be celebrating 50 years of ordination this month. And we are going to be gathering on Sunday to congratulate him. So he'll be celebrating the Mass for the 11 o'clock Mass on Sunday. Then we'll have a reception for him. So we're waiting for him to come out of reconciliation. We can give him a round of applause as well. He hates being the center of attention. That's what he tells me. I'm having trouble believing that, but anyway, he'll be with us in a few minutes. Father Jonathan, who served here for many years, is coming back at the end of the month for a visit. So just so you know. I guess he did his diaconate program here, and then this was his first priestly assignment, and he was here for 4 or 5 years? 2 years. It just seemed 4 or 5 years. He was here for 2 years. Father, what's your name again? Father Zachary was just ordained last year. This is his first priestly assignment, and the provincial has given him permission to stay with us another year, so he'll be around. So you will either find him here at the Friary or at Six Flags. So one of those areas he will be around. Does that pretty much catch us up on the clergy pieces of it? Our communications manager, Barbara Worthman, just gave birth to a baby girl, Sienna Rose, on May 8th. It's my birthday. She held out for that date, so May 8th, we certainly want to congratulate her. She's going to be on maternity leave to August, I believe, right? Also, Deborah Petoskey, who is our tribunal advocate, is going to be retiring as of tomorrow on the 14th. She's been working here for a number of years. Deborah, are you here? Okay, well, we want to thank Deborah for her work. She's going to be retiring, but she's staying on as a volunteer, so she's still going to be working with us. Yeah, he just kind of slid past that, but it was his birthday on Saturday. He's finally 21, so if you want to get him a bottle of wine, Father Michael celebrated his birthday, right? 21, was that what it was? 21st birthday? Yeah, this year? Yeah, right. Okay. He's going to let me slide right past that. So, sure. So, in addition to just kind of looking at, we've been blessed to have 4 friars for nearly a year now, which is a huge blessing to the parish. We have a great group of deacons who are faithfully serving our parish. We've taken this time the past few months. The last town hall we had was November 30th. Since then, our director of music, Brian Bacon, did resign and move to another parish, and many people worked closely with Brian. And so we're sad that he left, but we are happy for him and his family that he's getting to continue the ministry that he's feeling called to at St. Patrick's in Dallas, not too far away. So kind of with that transition sparked by Brian's resignation and a couple other reasons, we've taken this time to kind of look at the culture of our staff, the goal of our staff, trying to make sure we're promoting the culture that we're aspiring to create and make sure that we're able to collaborate really effectively and hold each other very accountable. So I wanted to ask Father Mike to just briefly share kind of some of those thoughts that we've been talking about the past few weeks. I could just give you a little bit of a background. As you know, I was stationed in California for 6 years before I arrived here. And I came here because Father Joe had asked me to help fill in for a couple of months after Father Richard's death. So I arrived in Texas on the 1st of February of last year. And at that time, Father John Mark was the administrator of the parish, and sort of filling in on that administrative position. And while I was here, COVID hit. So like, welcome to Texas. And you know, that's been a struggle for all of us. And it really has caused the parish to go through a tremendous transition. I was here for the Super Casino night last year. It hit right before COVID, right? So it was the Super Bowl Sunday, so it's around February 5th or 6th, something like that. And so I got a chance to see the parish, if you will, in full operation, with all of the different groups meeting. And the building next door here filled practically every night, and the parking lot filled and so forth. Just a little over a month later, we were quarantined. And it was difficult for all of you. It was difficult for us as well in the friary. Part of that enabled us really to start reaching out to you with a little bit more of the social media, with live streaming of morning prayer and evening prayer and Mass and so forth. But we went from a very full place to an empty place very quickly. And it really struck me as being one of the most surreal experiences of my life. And I'm sure you've had a similar kind of situation yourself. Then as the month went on, the position that I was supposed to take at St. Francis University was open, and the provincial called me and he said, well, there's a greater need in Texas than there is in Loretto at this point. Given the restructuring also that was happening at the university. They weren't even sure that they were going to be opening for in-class education at that point. So he asked me to stay on as pastor. So I have been officially your pastor since the beginning of August. One thing that really struck me about the parish is that it is huge. It is very, very big. Not just the number of people who are our parishioners here. I think at last count we were over 3,600 families in the parish. Then you can multiply that by 3 or 4 to get the number of people in the parish. And we have a staff of over 33, 34 people. I think it was even a little bit higher when I first came. There's been a little bit of attrition in some of those positions, but it's a big group. I think it's the largest parish in the diocese as far as staff numbers. Would that be correct, Donna? You think? So it's walking into that was really kind of a challenge. To put it very bluntly, it's very challenging. Particularly after Richard's death and the transition that was going on, and the transition that was very strongly felt by the staff as well. So there's a lot of kind of anxiety among the staff, particularly working at home and some people working in the office and dealing with all the COVID. All of those kinds of things just put us all through a lot of tension and stress over the past year. And my goal during that time was just to, in a sense, soldier on, do the best we can with what we have, to be prayerful about it and to trust that the Lord is going to guide us through this, regardless of what the situation is. And this is something that I've mentioned in homilies before, and it's something that is very much a part of my own spiritual challenge in life, to see everything against the horizon of God's love for us. And the way that one person explained that to me years ago was that despite all the evidence to the contrary, God loves you. And I had to really bring that to mind during the course of this past year, regardless of all the evidence to the contrary, God loves this parish. And God wishes the best for this parish. And God will never abandon the parish or the staff. So that's been kind of a constant refrain in the back of my mind. And I also decided at the beginning of the year to take advice that I've heard from many of the friars who have served in parishes over the years. Don't make any changes for a year. And part of that is to really learn about the culture of the parish that you're serving in, and to really get to know the people so that you can honor the way that they do things, and you can understand why they do things, instead of just going in and say, well, you're all doing everything wrong, and this is the way you're going to do it from here on in. So my desire right from the beginning was not to make any changes, including its staff, the organizational chart, the job descriptions, to deal with it in whatever best way we can, given all the various protocols that we've been struggling with from the state and in the church as far as COVID. Then at the beginning, shortly as the beginning of Lent this year, Brian Bacon accepted a new position in Dallas, and he was a significant figure in the parish, both in music but also in ministries, in a number of ministries, and in the staff. Because in a sense, he filled in for a lot of what Father Richard did before his death. And it really did help the parish quite a bit, both he and his wife Amanda and their children. And something that I still thank God that he was here for that time, because he really did help us through some very difficult times. And again, he goes away to a parish actually just in Dallas with a great deal of thanks on my part of what he did here. But his leaving at that time caused us to go through another transition. You know, how do we fill in now with all of the things that he used to do? So this gave me the opportunity, in a sense, to get together with the staff and to take a look at the organizational chart, with the idea that I wanted to try to streamline it a little bit, to break down any kind of a tendency that was present, at least I thought was present, for siloing. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but different departments working as if they were the only department, but without having a great deal of communication or respect for the other departments. So anyway, as a result of that, we looked at the organizational chart and tried to streamline it so I have less people reporting directly to me, and they have greater kind of clarity about job responsibilities and reporting within the staff. This is something that we've just embraced, I think, within the last couple of weeks. So it's been an ongoing kind of discussion for us, and we finally arranged for this organizational chart that we're trying out now. I don't know how much more you want me to say about that, Johnny. Do you want to add to that?
That's great. That's great. Yeah. So you know, we thank you as always for your prayers for our staff, and I would say just in these next coming weeks and months, you know, with the patience of the understanding that we're all kind of diving into a little bit of newness, and I think it's going to be really good. We're excited about it.
If I can just say that, just the highlights. I won't get into the whole thing, otherwise we'd be here forever looking at that. But Michael is still going to be working in the finance area and having responsibility for the finances and the bookkeeping and the HR and so forth. And everybody knows Michael, I'm sure. She's hiding in the back there. So, do you want to stand up, Michael, so everybody can see you? There, so. And Donna is my administrative assistant, and she's also going to be working in areas of communication and look at kind of staff morale as well, staff activities, and a connection with the various ministries. So Donna. And I asked Johnny to be like what term was I using before? Were you looking at different terms?
I think you
here?
said master, but I don't think
Master.
it could be a little different.
He who must be obeyed. No, an office manager. So those are the three main positions that we're focusing on at the moment. But while we were talking, Father Ronald has joined us, so we can congratulate him. We all have these holy cards already made out. So as I mentioned, Father Ronald is going to be celebrating his 50th on Sunday.
Yeah, please join us after. Father will be celebrating the 11 a.m. Mass, and we'll have a reception afterwards. So please join us, come celebrate the good Father Ronald, as he calls himself. Yeah, part of this transition has been the search for a new director of music and liturgy. That's something that we hit the ground running with that, and that's a search committee made up of myself, Father John Mark, Diane Kane, our coordinator of liturgy, Donna Black, our facilitator of music, who is hiding back there, and then Janet Noonan, one of our very talented choir members. We're blessed to have a number of very talented choir members here. Just to give a brief update, if I may, over the search, we've had a great search so far. We've had close to 35 to 40 candidates from as far as Germany apply. So it's been a very wide search, and we at this point have brought 3 people in particular towards kind of the third stage of the process. They've already had a number of interviews, so we're exclusively pursuing 3 candidates at this time, and I think they bring a wide variety of gifts and talents to our parish. If you're not aware of this, I previously served before coming to Good Shepherd as a director of music at a very large parish in Houston, and Good Shepherd is the enigma when it comes to liturgical music. We're very blessed to have a number of classically trained professional singers in our choir. We have, probably near 10 ensembles that parishioners can participate in. We have one of the largest parish choirs that I've ever seen, including over paid choirs at cathedrals. So we're very, very blessed to have such a experienced program here at Good Shepherd for our parish. With that, part of this search process has been the understanding across the entire search committee that everyone's first question is, when can we expect a new director? And the best answer I can give is as soon as possible, but also as long as it takes. We're committed to finding the right fit that serves our parish and that they can be served by our parish as well. But I am particularly excited about 3 of these candidates that we've come to. Father, do you want to add anything, Father John Mark? I just covered it perfectly, huh? That's great. Yeah, one thing that makes our parish really unique is that we have so many liturgical music ensembles. We have parish choirs, we have a bell choir, we have a youth orchestra, we have a contemporary music choir, just to name a few. So with that comes the need for a exceptionally talented, multi-genre music director, which is hard. That's pretty rare. So I wanted to see if the friars would be willing to just briefly kind of contribute, especially Father Mike, kind of our hope for liturgical music at our parish. This is a question that came up even at our last town hall, the desire for a broad genre of liturgical music. Maybe share a little bit about your hope for the future of that, Father.
Well, I think, first of all, I'd like to agree with Johnny's comment that we have extremely talented musicians both on the choir and plus the people who are playing the instruments and the directors. It's incredible, the depth of talent that we have here. And I'd like to encourage that and to thank the people who have been doing a beautiful job in music these last few weeks. One thing that I think is very important as far as liturgical music is that it is participatory. In other words, it is not a concert, but it's something that encourages the people to sing along, to be part of that. So even though the choir is leading, and there may be some times where the choir is doing some contemplative pieces that we just want to listen to, but for the most part, liturgical music should be an invitation for all of us to participate in that. So I would encourage, and will be encouraging, the new director to make sure that that is the case. So if there's a new piece that was presented, that the choir could do it, the people could repeat, and we use that several times until people get to know it. I think that would be very good. Also, I tend, in a sense, one part of me I consider to be kind of progressive. Another part of me tends to be traditional. Maybe, it's a part of just my upbringing. But I like the old Catholic hymns as well sometimes. And there are things that I've been singing ever since I was a kid that I would love to be able to continue to sing, if you will. So yeah, I like the different genres. I like the modern music group that we have for right now for the Sunday Mass at 4 o'clock. I really do like that kind of praise and worship. But I also like something that's a little bit more Catholic traditional, if you will. Zach, did you want to say anything? Zach doesn't want to say anything. John?
I'm hoping too, as I had mentioned several times, I've been here for a year and a half, and we never had somebody teach us a new song that we would learn and put in our repertoire. It was always kind of new every week, and we didn't know what the song was or how it was going to go. So I think if we get some stability that way, we'll be able to sing as a congregation even better, and to be able to praise God through our song.
And this is a fun fact that not many people know, but actually the two friars on the right side of the table are both organists. In case you did not know, Father John Mark and Father Ronald both play the pipe organ. Fun fact. And Father John Mark actually has a master's in music and served as a music director for many years before leaving Florida. So we are committed to this search, and I know there's a number of choir members here tonight, and to echo, we're thankful for your continued ministry to our parish. Before going on to the next section, a number of you have sent me a text that our QR code is not working. Unfortunately, I'm not really in a capacity to resolve that right now, but I'm sorry about that, and we'll, as in all things, continue to adapt and learn the software a little bit better. And then one more reminder that at any point, if you have anything you would like to say, both online as well, we have a number of people watching online. I'll be sure to fit that in. Kind of segueing to our next section on our strategic plan. I thought it might be neat, just kind of going into this next section. 3 out of our 4 friars have been here for, well, I guess, right around a year or so if you want to average them out. I thought it might be neat. We started this process just over a month ago as a staff, a collection of our staff, some parishioners as well who are here. This process of coming up with a working document of a strategic plan as a parish, kind of evaluating the mission of our parish, the vision, the core values. That's kind of the step 1 of what we've embarked on. The first step of that process was getting together for a little half-day workshop and talking a lot about our parish and what do we do well, what are we hoping to do well, what do we need to do to get to that point. And one of the most interesting parts of the conversation for me was all 4 of our friars were here and getting to hear their impression of our parish, which for 75% of them is still a new impression. I thought it would be neat, if you guys are willing, just before we get to some of these questions from the parishioners, to maybe briefly share how your first year has been at this parish and maybe what kind of, I know Father Zach and I have talked about things that, our parish maybe does that others don't, and things that they've seen at other assignments. Maybe if you want to briefly share just kind of what you were walking into this strategic planning process with the assumption of. Does that make sense? Maybe start with Father Zach since he won't stop talking.
Well, I came to Good Shepherd with only the testimonies of Father Jonathan and Father Jason, who came before me, and they had horrible things to say. Now, honestly, I think that they had to be kind of yanked out of here. So obviously, I came here with the expectation that this would be a great place, and you guys haven't let me down yet. So I appreciate that. It's been great here. I'm from Northeast Pennsylvania. A daily mass here is probably twice the size of a Sunday mass back home. So this is new for me. I don't know, the church is just alive here. I think that there's no better way to explain it to me than that day when we flooded out and everything. Obviously you still see the remnants of that everywhere, but there was like 200 people here within a moment's notice, with every shop vac in Tarrant County running in the church hall, and we had the whole place cleaned up in like 2 hours. I showed up in like work pants and a shirt as if I was going to do something, and everything was done before I even got to put a mop on the ground, which I'm fine with that. But it just showed me how much people take ownership of this community. This isn't just a place where people show up to put in their hour and then go home. This is a family, and it's really what I always believed a parish church should be, so I've got to experience that. That's not to say that there's not ways that we can all grow. I think you'd all agree that there are things that the Lord is probably challenging us to do, and the strategic plan has helped me to, the process has helped me to look at that a little bit, and sometimes be a little bit more, to look at things with some scrutiny, but that's always good. It's good to look at things carefully and see where we can improve, so.
I agree 100% with that. One of the reasons I wanted the process of a strategic plan to be very selfish in a sense is so I get to know the parish very well, and to invite different parts of the parish to be part of that discussion. Because a lot of people were asking me during this first year, well, what is your vision for the parish? Oh, geez. My vision for the parish is to survive, both for the parish to survive, but then the friars to survive as well. But it's got to be, I think, a little deeper than that. So my vision for the parish was to listen first, to really get to know the parish. And usually with a strategic plan, even though it's attached or attacked in different ways, one thing that I've done with higher education anyway, and strategic plan, is you look at what, so what, now what, those three areas. So you look at what is the reality now. So what, what's important about that? What is working? What isn't working? Because there may be some things that aren't working as well. And now what? So we really started to take a look at that. And I really want to thank Jan Tidsworth, who works in this area and is helping us. She's a parishioner here, and she is donating her time and her efforts and her expertise. So Jan, do you want to stand up just so you can see her in the back? So she's helped us a great deal, but also the other members here. And I don't know if I can't see everyone here, but if you're here, please stand. Karen Kiefer, Ken Kemper, Eamon Rosado,
I don't know if I saw him.
Donna Campbell, Johnny. And so you have representatives from the Parish Advisory Council, from the Finance Council, from the staff, and the friars as well. And part of that, what we're looking at now is the what part. What is the reality of the parish? Looking at the vision statement of the parish, the values of the parish, the reality of the situation as far as the number of people that we have here, the challenges that we have to face and so forth, and then we're going to be continuing to look at that. And it's both on, say, the spiritual side of things, which is, I think, very important, which would include liturgy and worship and so forth, and on the physical side of things. What do we do with the land? What do we do with the buildings and keep the upkeep of the buildings, any building projects and so forth? All of that we're looking at. And for me, it's been an eye-opener because it really allows me to sit down with people who know the parish very well and have been parishioners here for a number of years and bring their own expertise in finance and in strategic plans and in planning and so forth, and with a knowledge of where this parish has been and with the hopes that we would continue to grow. So one of the exercises was, I think it was 2025, if we were to have a gathering of all of the people in the parish, what would we hope the people would be saying about that? You know, and that is really quite interesting. In 5 years, what do we hope to be able to say about where we are at that point? So we're looking at both the reality, but we're looking at dreaming as well. And the focus for me is to make sure, or to do what I can to encourage an active, vibrant Catholic community of men and women who love God and love one another. Now that's going to be expressed in different ways, but that seems to be the core of what I hope to be able to do with you.
Yeah. Father John Mark, any first impressions?
Well, I came in November, and Father Richard had been very sick, as you know, and he died in December. And so then after that, it seemed like we were just recovering, and then COVID came. But I find that this community was very hospitality was a main thing of here, and people were just so friendly. I'd worked in 3 other parishes. This is my 4th parish, and you don't find that in all the different parishes you go to, as open as everybody is, and all the ministries, and impressed with the music that was happening here, and the liturgy, on how we continue to work with that. I have a music master's and a liturgy master's, and I worked in Venice, Florida for 8 years, besides working in the parish, as a director of worship and music for that diocese. And so liturgy was always very important to me, and that's why I joined the community, because I could see how well they did liturgies. And that's why, too, here I can see that we continue to work on our liturgies and try to make them the best that we can to give to God the honor and glory. With that, I never worked in a parish that had so many, bell choirs and choirs and orchestra. So it's really nice, because almost every lot of the masses I've been at with the different choirs, they have instruments to be able to play with that. And I always encouraged, especially our youth orchestra, that we need to continue on with that. And as the youth grow older, they get involved with more and more things in our parish here. But it has been a wonderful experience for me here in the parish for the last 1.5 years. And I expect to be able to stay for a little while.
That's our hope. The first part of this strategic plan process has been evaluating the effectiveness of our mission and our vision as a parish. So, Father Zach, I want to actually put you on the spot a little bit. The first step, the first thing that we did, I want to, yes. Oh, we want his first impressions of the parish too? Yeah, I'd like to know. Anything to? Oh, okay. That's really nice of you to say about me. They can't hear what you said, but that was very kind. No, I'm just kidding. Right. Oh, we're gonna call on him. Don't you worry. Yeah. To echo what Father Mike said, we have Jan Tidsworth, who is a professional consultant, and it's been a blessing to work with her. The first step of the process was evaluating the effectiveness of our mission statement, and Father Zach is sort of a wordsmith. So we kind of presented our concerns with it and tasked him with taking it and kind of formulating something that he thought would address those concerns and be serve effectively. So I should have a copy of it right here. Father Zach, do you want to give us a little bit of the thought process behind this? You can't see it? You wrote it, you should have memorized. I'll read it. It says, "Nourished at the table of the Lord, we welcome all to become disciples who know, love, and serve God and neighbor." So kind of coming from our previous statement, which was, I'll say that, I got that memorized. In welcoming all, we form disciples who know, love, serve God and neighbor. So do you want to address some of the changes?
Yeah, I mean, mostly we kind of workshopped this a little bit and wanted to add some to it, but we also didn't want it to become just, alphabet soup where it was just a whole bunch of words and it got all, messy. So I think we lost the welcoming all part, but we put it back with, we didn't lose it completely. But the thing that we really wanted to include, and I'll give Father Ron the credit for this, he said that, I guess one of the issues, if you were to say it's an issue of our first mission statement, or the previous mission statement, is that it didn't really highlight a Christocentricity that we wanted to really emphasize, which is to say that we don't exist as like a corporate entity. We're not Costco. We're not some kind of business. What we do here is focused on Jesus. And we wanted to make sure that that was what started off this mission statement. That's why the Nourished at the Table of the Lord, that was Father Ron, that was his idea. So, yes. So we thought that was kind of indispensable. So we left that, we put that at the beginning, and then basically, I think, kind of kept the rest. The only other thing you might notice, which I don't even think anybody would really notice unless you were really familiar with the past mission statement, was it used to say something, to form disciples?
We form disciples.
We form disciples. We just like the idea of focusing more on the communal element of all of us becoming disciples, not so much us kind of weighing the new people that come in and being like, all right, now let me teach you how to do this. We like the idea of we're all in this together. And yes, the Holy Spirit does the forming, not particularly us. So, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Everything that we're kind of sharing tonight is a work in progress, and we're excited that it's been very effective so far. The goal is to have this kind of working document of our strategic plan, hopefully by the end of the year. So I want to share our vision statement as well. I'm going to kind of do something a little bit bold here. We have a number of members of our strategic plan committee here. Would any of you be willing to come and kind of share the vision statement and maybe the thought process behind its creation? And I'm a former youth minister, so if I even sense that you're avoiding me, I will call you out. Ken, what about you? You're up close. Come on, Ken. Ken Kemper, everybody.
Yes, I echo, it's kind of awkward talking this way with everyone behind me. What Father Mike said about Jan and really the team, we spent a lot of time really thinking about the vision statement And I think the thing all the friars, in my mind, brought out was the fact that, this is kind of a faith-based Catholic community, and everything we do should be led by that, right? And I think that's what started the vision. And then, things like CHIRP, if you've been through it, and if you haven't, I'm not trying to tell you have to go through it, but I think like the Holy Spirit is one of the things we always hear from CHIRP. So the inspiration of that had to be part of the vision in our mind. And then hospitality and serving, we do so much of that, right? I mean, that's what, I remember Donna's first thing she said was, when you with this vision. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the kind of the process for creating this vision statement started with this scenario of this celebration, this hypothetical celebration that we're going to have in 3 to 5 years. What are we celebrating? And the goal is that this vision statement gives us a model headed towards that. Additionally, we kind of created some core values, and I'll just briefly share those. Those core values are sacramental life, hospitality, works of mercy, both the spiritual and corporal works of mercy, witness, worship, and ongoing conversion. And so this is what we kind of discerned as our community is something we're doing well and things we aspire to do well. Do any of the friars have anything they want to add to this section? Great. So I want to thank all of the members of the strategic planning committee. It's a work in progress, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm definitely excited about where our parish is headed with that. One question we got from a parishioner is where in the strategic plan does the possibility of a perpetual adoration chapel fall?
The question was, I was wondering where in the strategic plan the new perpetual adoration chapel fell. And I'd have to say the strategic plan is not there yet, but it would certainly be part of our discussion. As I had mentioned, it's what, so what, and now what, and the now what part of that. There is a lot of interest in the parish to move forward with a 24-hour Eucharistic adoration, and we are certainly open to looking at all of the possibilities for that. If there's anything else that the parishioners feel would be important, please let us know as well. You can write to Donna, send her an email with any suggestions that you have, and she could then bring it to the strategic planning for us. So we're not excluding anything at this point, and as I said, there is a lot of interest for a 24-hour adoration chapel, and we are certainly open to looking at the possibilities for that.
Yep. All the requests for Starbucks that you guys are sending in, they're heard loud and clear. Probably not going to happen, but we're open to it. So we're looking at the possibility of part of that plan, like Father Mike said, is even the use of facilities and finances as well. Kind of segueing into our next section, talking about facilities. One thing that Father Mike has recently shared with our staff is the possibility of actually moving our tabernacle, which is in our Eucharistic chapel, and moving that towards the front of our sanctuary here. And so there's a couple slides. I'm going to actually let Father Mike explain kind of the thought process behind that, and I'll show a couple slides as he's doing that.
I have something that I've typed up about this. I'm not going to read it to you. It's about a page and a half, single-spaced, and it gives some of the rationale for it. But let me just give you a couple of the high points right now. And one piece that I didn't really get into, I really do appreciate all of the thought and effort that went into the design of this church. And I want to congratulate Jim Bransford, who was the architect, and all the people who worked with him, and the sisters in their planning for this church. So nothing that I'm saying I want you to take as kind of a criticism of their work. They did a wonderful job. I think we can all thank them for that. It gave us a beautiful building and something that has really served this parish very well. So again, I want to congratulate them for that. Nothing that I say is going to be a critique of that or criticism of that. Part of it for myself has just been a personal experience, if you will. And this is a sort of tongue-in-cheek, but I don't like going into a church and have to pray to St. Anthony to find the tabernacle. The tabernacle, I think, and the documents really do support this. The tabernacle should be prominent and dignified, and it should be something that when somebody enters the church, they know exactly where it is. This is the center. This is our center, centered on the Eucharist. There was a time where a lot of liturgists were saying the tabernacle should not be in the sanctuary and should not be behind the altar and should be in a reserved spot. And then 10 years later, there was another group of liturgists saying, well, that's all wrong, and it should be actually behind the altar. And so I'm sure you've seen that. You go sort of back and forth. And there are stories as well of bishops going into a diocese and saying, if you have the tabernacle behind the altar, move it, build a chapel. And they had to move all the churches in that diocese had to move it into a chapel. Then the next bishop would come in and say, no, they shouldn't be in the chapel, move it back. I certainly don't want to get into that kind of discussion about this, and I don't want it just to be kind of a personal desire on my part. But all the documents point out the fact that the tabernacle should be in a prominent place, and it should be noticeable by anybody entering the church. So you shouldn't have to be searching for it. But the other thing that kind of bothered me about the placement of the tabernacle is every Mass that we celebrate, somebody has to transport the Blessed Sacrament from the chapel across the church up to the altar. Then we have a large ciborium, which is the cup, the ciborium, and we distribute into smaller ciboria, and then after communion, we put it back into the large ciborium, and it goes back. So it's constantly moving back and forth. For me, I don't see that as being all that dignified, really. And it could possibly, of course, anything is possible, but there's a chance that there could be an accident and the Blessed Sacrament be spilled all over the floor as well. I don't know if that's happened here, but there certainly is that kind of possibility. So every time I celebrate Mass, I just see that as being kind of, I don't want to say disrespectful, but it bothers me personally in a sense. I'll be honest with you about that. So when I had my initial meeting with the bishop of the diocese, Bishop Michael, I asked him his opinion because something that he likes to remind us of, and it's something that I try to keep forefront in my mind as well. Even though you are served here by 4 Franciscans, this is not a Franciscan parish. It's a parish in the Diocese of Fort Worth. It is the bishop's church. It is the church of the people here in the diocese. So as much as I might want to impose Franciscan stuff on you, and maybe you'd like that, I don't know, but it's a diocesan church. So I asked him about his opinion, and he agreed. He said that he would prefer to see the Blessed Sacrament on or near the sanctuary in the church that would cut down the constant travel back and forth from the Blessed Sacrament chapel. So after that, then, I had checked with some people in the parish who had asked me about the possibility. Even before I brought it up, they asked me about the possibility of moving the tabernacle. So I got together with them and an architect, and we looked at an initial design of the movement of the tabernacle just as a discussion starter, if you will. As I told the bishop, I didn't want to come in and impose this on the parish. If there's a lot of pushback from the parish and say, we don't want you to do that, then I'll certainly listen to that as well. Again, I don't want it just to be a kind of a personal thing on my part. So we came up with an initial design that, in a sense, mirrors the design of the baptismal font and the altar, and it would go right in front of the cross. So you can take a look at the screens here. This is a initial computer and a design of what that would look like. So it'd be right behind the altar. You can see it here, right behind the altar in front of the cross. And it would require to be the back part to be built up, and so that it would be even with the altar, so that the priest could have ready access to it, and it would be right below the cross. Originally, the person that looked at it first said that they thought that it would be important also to raise the cross about 3 or 4 feet, because right now the tabernacle would be blocking the foot of the cross. And they said that's a fairly simple operation because it's in a sleeve, and you would have to take the cross out and raise the sleeve and put it back in. So he said it would be fairly easy to do. So this was just the beginning of the discussion. I presented to the staff, and we looked at this. And Michael got in touch with Jim, who was the architect of the church, to get his feedback on this as well. There's one thing that I wanted to make sure is, regardless of what we do, it would fit the architectural design of the church. I don't want it to be something that just seems like it was out of left field or something, but it would fit with the architectural design. So he pointed out that the cross is not simply in a sleeve, but because of the weight of the corpus, which is the bronze figure, plus the wood, there are rebar rods underneath that sort of crisscross underneath in the floor. And to even raise that cross means that you would have to rip up the whole floor. It's not just a matter of, raising the cross. This plan would cost approximately $120,000 to $200,000. But again, it was just to get our discussion going. And his point now, this is the architect now, Jim had mentioned that there was some discussion even at the beginning about having the tabernacle in the sanctuary. And he said it's basically just using the current tabernacle and having it in the sanctuary. And it would look like this. I don't know, you can't see the side pieces there. Is that just the... Well, it's right. We put the wooden piece here so you can see where it would be. This is the wooden tabernacle that we use for the tabernacle repose after the Holy Thursday service. So it would go right there. You could see where it is now. And right in front of that little corridor that goes to the right of the ambo as you're looking at it from here. So it would be taking, if you can picture this, we tried to get an animation in place in time for you to see it a little bit more clearly, but this is a plan that just came to us within the last couple of weeks. It would be taking the current tabernacle and putting it on a pedestal right there, and taking the sanctuary light that's currently on the wall and putting that on a pole next to it. Right now it seems to be, there's a little separation between the two, but could be closer. That's just to give you an idea. He said that this would cost about $10,000 to $20,000. So you have $10,000 to $20,000 versus $200,000. I know Michael in the back is going, I vote for the $10,000 to $20,000. So I guess the question that I want to pose to you, is this something that the parish would be supportive of? Now, I know there may be some people who are here that would disagree, and there may be some people online as well, so we want to hear from you as well. Write to me or write to Donna with the pros and cons of this, And once I get a feel for where the parish is, then we can either progress with this or forget about it. Again, this is not something that I don't want you to feel that it's being imposed on you either. Any questions about this? Yes. Yeah.
My thought is if the tabernacle goes to the altar, will there also be a tabernacle to remain in the chapel for like the 24-hour adoration?
No, we hope to have something that's a little bit larger than that chapel for a 24-hour adoration. So my plan is to use the chapel as it is, but have it as a Marian chapel. I have been in touch with our TOR provincial in Mexico. We have a vice province in Mexico, the center of which is in Mexico City. And he has talked to the rector of the sanctuary of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and we are arranging for an exact replica of the tilma, which is the robe with Our Lady of Guadalupe, along with a replica of the frame that is used in the sanctuary in Mexico City at the shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe. As a matter of fact, I just talked to him today, and he actually went to talk to the rector there. He's arranged that, so hopefully we'll have that here by Pentecost. The idea is we'll hang it on the wall behind, just to the left of the AV for now. And if we move the tabernacle out, then I would like to put the tilma in there, along with some chairs for meditation and prayer, and have a focus there for the unborn, for pregnant women, for women who have lost babies. So that would be a life issue. This is one of the only images of the apparition, kind of an apparition, really different kind of apparition for Our Lady of Guadalupe, in which she's pregnant. So she is carrying Christ in that image as well. So it would seem to be a natural kind of expression. I know some people think that Our Lady of Guadalupe is Hispanic and only Hispanic, but actually she is the patron saint of the unborn as well. And it's not just Mexico or the Hispanic population, it is all of Americas. So there is a real focus on that as well. So regardless of what we decide with the tabernacle, the tilma should be here next week, I hope, and hopefully in time for Pentecost, we'll at least be able to hang it here for now, and hopefully use that chapel if we move the tabernacle. Yes?
Good evening, and I'm Lee Maxwell, and I do have a question, not in opposition, because I recognize the validity of the objectives that you've outlined with moving the tabernacle, but I have to wonder to what extent having the tabernacle in the sanctuary would minimize the spirit that people have when they come in here, both before and after Mass, about visiting with each other, and so the sense of community is pretty strong. And I can't help but wonder to what extent would that be reduced, because now that Christ is, in fact, in the sanctuary. So for me, is it going to cost us something in our warm and welcoming vision statement, mission statement?
I think there would be a difference. I mean, if people were to come in here and the tabernacle was here, hopefully that would be an encouragement for more silence and reverence when you come in the doors. And I don't consider that to be all that bad myself, but also this church is blessed to have a very large narthex as well. So particularly when COVID is over, and we're getting there, thank God, then the narthex could be used for those kinds of gatherings, and the church hall could be used for those kinds of gatherings. And the church would be dedicated a little bit more towards reverence and quiet and reflection for the whole community. So yes, there would be a trade-off. And that's, I guess, why I'm asking if this is a trade-off that people would like or not like. Any other questions about that? Yes.
Has there been any thought, Father Mike, about a cry room? So if you move the tabernacle out, would you consider using that for a cry room for young families with small children?
That certainly can be used for that, even if there is the tilma of Our Lady in there. I'm sure she would understand. She had to deal with a crying baby herself. So certainly that could be used for that. Yeah.
Other questions? Any other questions? And like Father Mike said, if you have anything to contribute, please let one of us know, especially Donna Campbell. If you have any thoughts, feel free to email Donna. Yeah, a couple people mentioned the winter storms, popularly known as snowvid. We did get hit decently hard by that storm. I know Russ is here, Father. Do you want, Russ, not to throw you on the spot, maybe this is totally throwing you on the spot, but would you want to share a little bit about the updates of the repairs with, in regards to the winter storms?
Online, so.
I'm Russ Overby. I'm the facility building manager, of course, for the parish here. As you're all aware of a lot of the winter damage we did have to our buildings here, and I've probably seen some of the updates. We lost the heating system to this building as one thing. We lost the pump equipment associated with the font was damaged and everything. We had fire sprinkler systems go off in the new wing over there that flooded there that you're probably aware of. The admin building, Parish Hall, down the corridor there, the old, what we call Little Lambs area in the corner was completely flooded. Kitchen was pretty much decimated and everything like that. So we had a lot of damage. We've gone through right now the mitigation and demolition portion of that. So we have reduced and taken out all the damaged materials, drywalls and things like that are all being completed. All of that has been completed, that work of mitigation and demolition. We're now in the process of going back now, the reconstruction phase. We are in the process of getting bids from contractors. We've got 2 engaged right now. It's been a chore to get contractors to do this work. As you've seen in North Texas, everybody is struggling with getting workers, getting contractors, and everything like that. In addition to that, we've got material shortages, labor shortages, and everything like that. We are in process of getting quotes. Once we have several quotes, we have to go to the diocese at that point, the building commission there, presenting that material to them along with working with Catholic Mutual Group, which is our insurance carrier, with regards to these estimates too, and then with our church here too, and selecting a contractor that would help with the reconstruction phase of all of this. So it's a process yet we're going through. We're waiting for the second bid right now so we can start some of that comparison process. Once we have a contract in place, which I'm guessing will be in a month or so, if not before, we'll have a contractor have a contract in place. The 2 contractors that we have talked with indicate it's between a 5 and a 6 month period to have these repairs completed. So it's going to take a while. There are material shortages, labor shortages, etc. One of the questions was the kitchen there. The kitchen was practically pretty much destroyed from that standpoint. As a result of that winter damage, we're proceeding forward and have accelerated the planning for the new kitchen. Lee and Sharon Maxwell helped a lot with this planning and everything with that, and their teams in putting together a vision of what this would be. And we've met with the diocese. The diocese has approved us to move forward with this new kitchen, so we won't have to build back the old type thing as much as we might have had to. So that process is starting too right now. The existing kitchen will be turned into kind of a storage area. The new kitchen is planned for in the courtyard area that you know right now. And I think a lot of you may have seen some of the plans and everything, but completion of that is probably 18 to 24 months out. So what we're going to have to do is temporarily put our kitchen back into place a little bit, that we can use it during those periods of times. If you remember, a lot of those that have worked in there, storage cabinets in back, had to all come out. They were completely destroyed. The center island in the kitchen was completely destroyed. So what we're planning to do is go back in with more of the materials we were going to use for the new kitchen. Stainless steel tables, shelf racks, that we can maybe purchase that stuff now that will be in the used in the new building or the new church or new kitchen, and we can get ahead of it and not have to reconstruct as much. So from that standpoint, we're working that process. The bathrooms there in the parish hall, once we got the demolition done, we found the separation of the wall that separated the men's from women has completely deteriorated over time. So there's a lot of the supporting joists and everything are completely damaged and everything like that. So we're probably going to have to completely gut that bathroom and go back in with something new. That would be my recommendation from that standpoint. So it's going to take a while. We're kind of in the planning process of all of this. There's a lot of work to do with regards to that at this point. Does anybody have any questions about, yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes, ma'am. All right, she is talking about the women's group had those storage lockers back there. They had a lot of materials in there. Right now, some of that is over on Highway 20. I should have given you the microphone. Highway 26, some of it's down in room 6. There in the parish hall, and I think she was wondering what we were going to do in the midfield. Yeah, and what we would do is in that area where those closets were, we would put shelving in. It will not be an enclosed locker like they were, but shelving of some type that we secure that we can move some of those materials back in there on shelves rather than actually lockers, rebuilding those lockers and everything. Is that, yes? Right. We'll have to look at the security aspect. Ben's Club's got a locker back there. Knights of Columbus got a locker back there. The Men's Club Knights of Columbus do keep some adult beverages in there sometimes. So a lot of that stuff, we will have to figure out security with regards to that. But we don't want to rebuild those cabinets because they would have to come out from that standpoint. Does that make sense? So we will look at that security side of that as we're putting it together. Yes, sir. The water problem? Oh, the drainage that comes in the working sacristy, is that what you're talking about? That came in through that outside door back there. I don't know if you've been out that way. We've redone the sidewalk there to drain away from that area. That has helped. We did have a flood here just about 2 weeks ago. That's a very heavy rain. We haven't completed the work out there yet. We got some stripping that we're going to put on the bottom of the door that should help seal that out. So that has been addressed by the sidewalk changes we did out, and we've noticed it is carrying some of the water. Where we used to get water, we get pretty good rains every now and then. We always get water in there. We've had some pretty good rains, and we have not gotten water. The one you're talking about a week ago, week and a half ago, that was very heavy, very quick, and it's a unique thing. But we're addressing it, looking at the aspect of all those things. Any other questions about facilities? All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Russ.
Just a, just the final thing about the buildings that we have here, the land fund that we did with Father Richard. You can see it's starting to be cleared out now, and hopefully by the 1st of July that whole area will be cleared and those buildings will be taken down, along with the Tinker House here. So that's part of what we're going to be looking at, you know, what do we do now with that area. So those are the things that we're going to be talking about with the strategic plan as well.
Yep. During the last town hall, we talked a little bit about the financial state of the parish, especially the impact from coronavirus on giving. Can you give us a little bit of an update on where we are today regarding finances with the parish?
As far as the finances go, we are on track, I think, to hit most of the goals that we had for this year. We're operating in the black. People have been very generous and continue to be very generous, and we certainly want to thank you for that. I have expanded the Finance Council. Ken Kempker is on that council, and I don't know if there are any other members here who are present. Yeah. Kevin in the back there is on that as well. They are working with Michael to look at the budgeting for this coming year in consultation with the diocese as well. And I think overall, Michael, did you want to say something about that? I think overall we're doing better than most people would have expected us to be able to do at this point. Kevin, anything? No? Okay. Come on down.
Nothing specific, because I'm not really a numbers guy, just kidding. But I just wanted to say, we've already, we had the old adage, time, talent, treasure. And so we've already had examples at the time about the flood, and within 2 hours, people dedicated their time. The talent, an example in it with our magnificent choirs and the abundance of talent that we have. We're also blessed with treasure, both geographically where we are. We're just truly blessed as a parish. So one of the things that we as the Finance Council are always balancing is that how do we use those funds that we're blessed with? There's certainly the maintenance of our property and the maintenance of our church and our facilities. They're wonderful, they're beautiful. There's the outreach, there's the stewardship, those type of things. We also keep in mind that we're one of the sponsors, or whatever the term is, for Holy Trinity Catholic School. And Catholic schools across the country are struggling and challenged. So just keep us in your prayers, because there is that kind of balance between how do we appropriately discern and use the treasures that we're so richly blessed with. So just keep that in mind, keep that in your prayers, keep us in your prayers as we hopefully, thoughtfully come to the right conclusions. So thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully, even though this has just been kind of a brief, believe it or not, a brief overview of some of the things that we're looking at, I hope you're getting the impression that it is your church and your brothers and sisters are doing the bulk of the work here. So it's not just the friars coming in and telling people what to do, but we are encouraging the qualified lay men and women to work for each other and to work for you. And I have to say, I'm really very, very impressed with the depth of the expertise that we have right across the board in this parish. You are a very, very blessed parish. You have to recognize that.
Absolutely. Moving into our last section here, just briefly talking about COVID procedures, where we're at as a parish navigating through this pandemic. Can you give us just a little bit of an update? Obviously, some things have changed. A lot of us are not wearing masks right now. Just a little bit of an update on where we're at regarding the procedures we've received from the diocese.
Well, as you know, we've been all over the board with COVID and protocols for the last year, and sometimes it's exhausting to try to keep up with it. One thing that we, as a community, as a friar community, and as the staff have really agreed to follow the protocols that are set forth by the diocese. So if you have any questions about what the protocols are for this church, you can go to the website of the Fort Worth Diocese, and there's a list of the protocols, and we try to follow them. And I have to say that's been good, because we have a desire to follow the direction of the diocese and the bishop. And I think that's something that I had mentioned many times. I will never apologize for being obedient to the bishop and the directors of the diocese. I think that's very important. Having said that, I realize that not everybody is going to agree. No matter what decision we've made, we've had opposition from one side or another. We're either being too hard or not hard enough. We're either, we're not following the dictates close enough, or we're following too closely. So that's kind of frustrating, because there doesn't seem to be any comfortable middle ground for people. Something that I've heard, particularly from some of the healthcare workers in the parish, and some of the doctors who I really respect, your fellow parishioners, have said that, even though there is a relaxation of the masks, they would encourage the wearing of masks in any time that you're at least inside. Yes, follow the directives of the diocese, but they encourage us to wear the masks as much as possible until COVID really comes under control. I've really not highlighted that much, because I don't want to say, the bishop is saying you don't have to do it, but here's the other side. So you can just so you get a sense that this is not something that we can handle very lightly. It's something that we really do a lot of thought, give it a lot of thought, a lot of prayer. And if we're going to be erring, we're going to be erring on the side of being obedient to the bishop. So right now, the way the masks go, even though you don't have to wear masks, following our doctors, I'd encourage you to follow, the CDC guidelines, and to wear masks inside if it makes you feel comfortable, or if it makes you or your family safer, then I would really encourage you to do that. As far as the ministers that we have, we've agreed that anyone that has direct contact with one-on-one with parishioners, like the Eucharistic ministers, when they're giving out communion, should be wearing masks. The ushers should be wearing masks. And the greeters should be wearing masks. So we want them to be safe, and we want you to be safe. But the rest of that, we still encourage social distancing, personal hygiene, washing of hands, and so forth. And hopefully together as a group we can survive this time and move towards a greater sense of normalcy as well. Having said that, the bishop had mentioned that the new or updated protocol should come out sometime this week that would particularly address ministries, meetings of outside. Right now we've been hesitant even having outside gatherings, because the bishop has asked that we not have that. We're hoping to get eventually some relaxation in that as well. So again, if you ever have any question about the protocols that we're following and you can't find it readily on our own website, go to the diocesan website, because we are going to be doing our best to follow the dictates, or the directives from the bishop and the diocese.
One question from a parishioner watching online: what is the plan for continuing to live stream our masses and events at the parish?
We would like to continue our live stream of the daily masses. This is not just so that people can be lazy and stay home, and when they don't like the homily, they hit the mute button, which might happen as well from time to time. But we recognize that it is really a tremendous help for the people who are shut-ins and who can't really get out for one reason or another. So at least for the foreseeable future, we would like to continue the daily masses. Eventually, we would like to have the live streaming of only one Sunday Mass, maybe the Saturday Mass, and then anybody can watch it. If they need to be at home, they can watch that any time, and it's the Mass for the Sunday. But it would cut down on the constant live streaming that we do in the parish here. So that's right now, there's no immediate plans to change anything, but eventually we are going to be going to one Sunday Mass, and for the foreseeable future anyway, continue the daily Masses.
I do want to thank a man who goes without a lot of thanks, and that man is Joseph Kerr, our technology associate, who live streams. He's hiding back there. We got a hand. Yeah. He live streams all of our masses and events, and I mean, when COVID hit, his job, increased quite a bit. So we're thankful for him. That is the last question that I had. I would definitely encourage, if anyone has any questions or any remarks, any staff that are present, quite a few of our staff are present, if you want to offer any updates on the ministries that you oversee, I'm sure we'd love to hear. Yes, absolutely. Just come on up. You don't even, if anybody has anything to say, come on up and we'd love to hear from you.
I just want to make a comment. Last Sunday at Mass, today when you put up there the core values of our parish, last Sunday at Mass, one of the songs that we sang during Mass, there was a line that stood out to me. Let your worship be a witness of the sacramental life. And I think that's who we are.
So I know we announced that Vacation Bible School is going to happen virtually this year. Could you elaborate more on why that decision was made, and when are we going to bring the kids back to faith formation on campus?
Yeah, I'm gonna allude to our coordinator of K through 4, Kim Philp. I call her Mom. See what she has to say regarding that.
Sorry, I'm really uncomfortable doing this, but the reason why VBS is virtual, but we are going to do one day on site, is I did not find out, when was Kayla's wedding?
April 9th?
April 9th is the day I found out that I could be back on site with some of the kids. VBS, I start planning in January with a big team. There is no way I can get it together. So one day we're gonna do 3 virtual days, and it's a VBS that we wrote ourselves because we couldn't even get all the supplies in. So we're going to do like a St. Francis VBS and then do a one day on site. I only have 3 volunteers so far. For VBS, I usually have about 250 volunteers and then 250 kids. So I just can't get it together. We are going to have classes this fall. I'm excited. Finally get kids.
Yeah.
I haven't seen kids in a year, so it's really been hard. So what else was the other question?
No, that's great. Yeah, this is new protocols we've received, like you said, a month ago.
Yeah, it's waiting for the diocese to tell me I can have kids back. So. Yep.
I want to briefly single out 2 members of my team, Kayla Banning and Nathan Carls. Why don't you guys, they have to listen to me because I'm technically their boss. Why don't you come forward and give us like a 30-second summary of where youth ministry is at? And Nathan, since you're the guy, you get to go first. Get on up here. Nathan Carls, everybody.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nathan Carls. I do the middle school ministry coordinating here, and we've been meeting all year. We had our last meeting this past Sunday. Actually, today, Kayla and I have already kind of been planning out the fall semester and what that looks like. But yeah, we were on site all year. This past year, we hope to be on site all year. We're going to be on site all year next year. And just as COVID becomes more in the rearview mirror, and more kids and more volunteers come, we're excited to have a bigger emphasis on community, on fun, on making it a spiritual home for kids, because that's really what they need, and that's what Good Shepherd's all about. So that's what I've learned in the past year. It was really hard to do that with all the COVID protocols. A lot of kids just want to play games or run around. It's really hard to do that. So really excited about that. We're looking to be in the Parish Hall, and on Wednesday nights, moving back to Wednesday nights instead of on Sundays. Does anybody have any? Yeah, I need lots of volunteers. So if you can't volunteer, you might know somebody that wants to volunteer. If you have a heart for kids, or you know someone that has a heart for kids, I need volunteers. She doesn't need any more. Kayla's good, man. I need them. So if you know anybody, please, please, please bring them my way. Say some prayers for us. Say some prayers for the kids. Awesome. Does anybody have any questions about middle school specifically? Cool. Oh. Yeah, the stewardship has been absolutely incredible. I've actually really blown away by a lot of whenever we go to staff meetings, I've been super thankful for all of that. So, yeah, question. What are my numbers like? I'd only heard about numbers from previously, but Laura Langer, the previous middle school ministries coordinator, she had over 100 kids in both 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th. We were less than half of that during the year, so I think the most I ever had at a 7th and 8th programming night was 60, but we averaged probably around 20 to 30 every week in each program, so I think it would be around 50 kids total, 50 to 60 kids total in mine. Hers is a little different. They have a blast at her stuff, and I'll let her tell you more about that.
Hi, I'm Kayla Banning. That's weird for me to say, but I was Kayla Gallhar for a really long time. Johnny and I finished up the school year last night. It was incredible, an awesome time. A few things that it looked a little different this year. Johnny and I, the school year was shorter. We made not as many classes throughout the year, and then we changed our time from 6:30 to 8:30 to 6:30 to 8. So just little things that we were trying to do in that area. Nathan said a lot of it, but what our program kind of looked like this year was very fruitful, I would say, for not only Johnny and I, our volunteers. Donna's one of our great volunteers, but also just the fact that I think our students were super reminded of the fact that they love coming here and what this means. I think for all of us, we kind of all saw the impact of we weren't able to receive the sacraments for so long, some of us longer than others even, and we felt that need to come home. And those students really, really felt that deeply. And so we've seen so much of them returning, so many of them returning, and so much of their effort and spirit coming back into the program this year. Our numbers were half as well. We normally, in the high school program, we normally have around 300, 350 at the beginning. This year, we really were almost cut in half. We were at 150. And then a lot of that our confirmation was cut in half too. So that all being said, it was super fruitful though. It was super great. We had a great season. We're really looking forward to being here next year on Wednesdays, kind of jumping back into things, taking it slowly, seeing what the diocese says, before we jump full force back into the crazy that we love to have. So, does anybody have any questions about high school? Awesome. Well, it has been, so that's about all I got.
So if you have a young person in your house, 5th grade through 8th grade or 9th through 12th, we don't stop for the summer. We have summer stuff that is starting actually in a couple weeks. So if you have a young person in your house and you want them out of your house for part of the day, send them to us. We'd love to hang out with them and teach them a little bit about Jesus and teach them how to, actually serve a volleyball the correct way. So we do fun stuff over the summer. But thank you to Kayla and Nathan. Any other comments? Yes.
I'm Donna Campbell, and I just wanted to mention one thing about the strategic planning process. And to let y'all know, it's not a process that is being conducted by just, 6, 8 of us. So while we have members of the Finance Council and the Parish Advisory Council, members of staff, and even parishioners, we forgot to mention Stephanie Sanchez. She's also on our Strategic Planning Committee. We are going to be engaging, and we have already engaged staff members. We'll be engaging parishioners through this whole process because we need your input to develop our strategic plan, because it's not our plan, meaning the committee's plan, it's our community's plan. So we're going to be embarking on strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, environmental scan, and we're going to be conducting interviews and small group discussions. So we really want to encourage everyone's participation and input because, like I said, this is our strategic plan that we want to have in place that's going to carry us through until at least 3 years and identify the key strategic priorities that are important to Good Shepherd to move us towards achieving our mission and vision. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for elaborating on that, Donna. Any other comments from the community? Any questions? Yes, sir. And while we're having a couple people come forward, I want to thank those who have been present with us online. We've had a good group chiming in, so thank you guys as always for watching faithfully.
My name is John Veering. First of all, I want to thank Father Mike and the rest of the friars for this opportunity. This town hall idea, I think, is just a great idea, and thank you very much for doing that. I know we're running late, so this is going to be real quick. The scheduling system we're using for our liturgical disciples does not work. Maybe before we got into COVID, we had over 900 volunteers. Maybe it's working for the other 899, but it's not working for me. So I just ask you to reconsider some way of doing that. I think you've heard lists of complaints before, but they are real, and it's a problem. Thank you.
John, I apologize. I had your question written down, and I have the parishioner questions in red. I completely missed it. Do you want me to address that a little bit, Planning Center? I've used Planning Center for a number of years at other parishes as well. And to be completely honest, the first time that I used it, gosh, I mean, I guess it was approaching like 10 years ago at this point. I really did not like it at all. I had a lot of concerns, actually some of the concerns John brought up were very valid concerns, things that I shared as well. And so I would say that I understand the frustration of all of those who are still kind of adapting to this. Planning Center is more is quite a bit more than just the scheduling component that we use it for. It's actually services is one of 8 applications underneath the Planning Center platform that we utilize here. And unfortunately, it's the one that has the most growing pains, probably because it has the largest chunk of people that are trying to be actively trained on it and trying to understand it. And so there have been growing pains. And that the conversation, we have continued to have the conversation about utilizing it in the right way and making sure there's proper training. In regards to services, we can definitely address your concerns. If for those who are curious about the other applications, those have carried out somewhat seamlessly because they're a little bit smaller. Do you have something to say?
We've had it for 18 months. It's not working any better now than it did the first 2 weeks. And they were given a list after 2 weeks of all the problems with it, and we still have the same problems. So I think if you're thinking it's going to get better, I think you're dreaming. That's all I'll say.
Sure. No, I understand your concerns. I guess part of the rationale is that we rolled this out probably at the wrong time, probably going into a pandemic that we had no idea was coming. It was probably not the best time to roll out a scheduling change. So I appreciate you bringing up your concerns, and you can trust that this is something we talk about on a daily basis. Yes, sir.
John Murphy. There's two sides to the other issue. Somebody trying to corral a bunch of digitally challenged men in the men's club, it helps me get head count and money for Ranger tickets and stuff. John Murphy, I know you don't want technical advice from somebody quite a few decades older than you, but when you tell a digitally challenged group to take a picture of that, that's what they will do. You need to aim your camera at it and scan it.
There you go.
I'll email you written instructions later.
I want them, yep.
And the other thing is the core values are great, but one thing pointed out to me that was missing, and it's somewhat implied in Works of Mercy, service. And I think that word needs to be in there. It's what we're out. You bring people to Christ by serving them as he did. And lastly, along those lines, the men's club wants to serve. We want every father and man in this parish to disciple to their family and come out to the Ranger game with us on June 23rd and do things. And hopefully when the COVID restrictions are out, we want to have drive-in movies on campus and bring families out. We're here to serve, so challenge us to do that.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I'm Linda Rayleigh. And any of y'all who were here before we started that new program that you're talking about, Diane Kane had the most wonderful system. It was so easy. It was so simple. Why can't we have that simple system back? You can ask Diane. I mean, we could just click on it and it was done. Mm-hmm. Just a thought.
Sure. I mean, the system MSP, I think part of it is attributed to being, very involved in the community for years. Trust me, I assure you, as someone who went through the same pain that many of you are. I'm sorry? I understand, and we're trying to do what we... I'm sorry, I can't hear you when you don't use the microphone. Did you have something to add to that?
Oh gosh, no, I don't even know what scheduling system you're talking about.
Well, I'll just
like,
briefly
I for real
say,
don't.
So Diane is still the coordinator of liturgy. I would encourage you. She has been using Planning Center more and more over these past few months through this transition. So definitely continue to collaborate with her. Diane has, approached this transition with some concerns as well regarding Planning Center, and something that she's gotten to use more over the past few months as well. Yes.
No, my comments were on live streaming Facebook Mass. Please, 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 please keep it going. I know y'all said you were, but it's awesome. Not only for shut-ins, not only for people who are maybe sick and just are not going to be able to make it out to Mass that weekend without spreading disease, it's also great for people like myself who work retail. Sometimes no Masses fit, but if I know that I have one that I can stream, I still feel connected. I still, at least, can make our spiritual communion, still get Mass. Also, don't forget about it in terms of a tool for evangelization. I'm a convert and spent I don't know how many hours, summers between high school semesters, between college, watching EWTN, and fell in love with the Mass. I thought, whoa, this Catholic Church is really pretty amazing. So it has potential, obviously, for evangelization as well.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Neese. I just wanted to make a comment on our mission statement, which starts with but it brings out know, love, and serve. And I want to take the know part and expound on that. As a teacher myself, this parish has done a tremendous job in really growing the education of our parishioners. And we started with women's Bible study, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago, maybe 7. And it was Patty Zauber, myself, and one other lady, and we thought we were going to have 6 women in women's Bible study. We ended up with 60. And now women's Bible study on Tuesday mornings has grown to 150 women. And I think next to CHIRP, Bible study is probably one of the most aggressive campaigns we have going here at our church. And I have personally witnessed, as a group leader and a leader in Bible study, women who have been completely transformed, people my age who have never been educated past, grade school on the scriptures and the Bible. So I would like to hopefully, even in our youth ministry, everywhere it goes, just really expound on educating us on the scriptures, on the Bible. And Jeff Cavins has the Bible Timeline, which is a phenomenal program. I've taken so many Bible study programs. I did the University of Dallas program, but his program, the Bible Timeline, is remarkable. And I have physically seen it change people's lives once they learn it. And that's that whole knowing Jesus. If you know him, then you fall in love with him. And if you love him, you want to serve him. So I would just say continue to maybe highlight the importance of educating our parishioners at every age, whether it's the itty-bitties or us older folks. We all need to continue our education in the catechism and the scriptures. Thank you.
Thank you for that and for all of your comments about education. I certainly don't want to end the evening without at least addressing a little bit the Holy Trinity Catholic School, which is the parish school. Granted, we also use that school with St. Michael and St. Francis, so we have 3 parishes who are involved with that. Catholic education is something that is crucial, I think, in this day and age, given the fact particularly that people are learning, our children are learning from society. Okay, just let that sink in for a moment. I don't have to go too far with that. But, it's not all bad. I think the education system in this area, from what I hear, is excellent. But Catholic education for children, I think, is crucial myself, and I think it's something that we have to provide a very dynamic possibility for those parents who would like to send their children to a dynamic Catholic elementary school, or right now, I guess it's K through 8 out there, and then Nolan for the high school. Deacon Jeff had put together a brief statement for Good Shepherd Town Hall meeting. Actually, it goes a page and a half. It would be too much to read right now, but perhaps we can get this online or put it a link for the e-bulletin so that you can read what Deacon Jeff is saying here. But basically, he's highlighting the need for Catholic education, and then particularly for what Holy Trinity Catholic School has been able to do for the children, and the scholastic success that they've had in many different levels, but also done within a faith environment in which the children learn to appreciate and love the Catholic religion, and hopefully will continue with that as they grow older. So I realize Catholic education at Holy Trinity is going through some challenges, and that the challenges right across the board. I think that over 6,000 Catholic schools across the country have closed as a result of COVID. So there are a number of schools that have really been challenged in this area. And I think we have to do what we can do to support Catholic education as well as the parish. And it's something that certainly we're going to be looking at with our strategic plan. So if you can't do anything else but pray for them, Pray for Deacon Jeff, the principal. Pray for the staff. Pray for the educators who actually teach there at a sacrifice. The teachers in Catholic education do not make as much as they would in the public area, but they do it because it's a service to the church and a service to the children. So they really should be thanked a lot and prayed for and encouraged in their work. And it's something that hopefully we can continue to do as a parish as well. Well, thank you. I just wanted to mention that, and we will make sure that Deacon Jeff's comments are made available to you, either through a link in the e-bulletin, or if you want to write to Donna, give everything to Donna. If you want to write to Donna, and she can just forward the whole message to you. I think it's very well written, and I'd like to thank Deacon Jeff and all of those who work there, because a number of the staff and the teachers are parishioners from Good Shepherd, and over 60% of the student body are from this parish. So we continue to support them in our thoughts and in our prayers, and realistically try to be there for them, because it's not an easy job for them either. So at least I wanted to mention that before we conclude this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. We are just about out of time, so I would say that's a great note to end on. I appreciate you all coming. Per our conversation last time, we are committed to doing these every 6 months, so you can count on the next town hall in November. We're hoping to have a date for that here soon. But on behalf of our friars and our entire staff, we're very grateful for you and joining into this conversation with us. And a number of us, I'm sure, will still be here after we conclude. So if you have any questions, please make sure we address those. Would one of you close us in prayer, Father John Mark, perhaps?
Well, or perhaps we can ask Father Ron to give us his blessing.
Do you have your mic?
He doesn't need a microphone.
You don't need a mic? Great.
In the name of the Father. Go in peace.
Thanks be to God. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.